Good. Well, for me, it's afternoon. Liam, I'm going to talk through your paper in this video. Digital art. Digital art is diverse and ever-changing. Digital art can range from Photoshop mosaics to gallery pieces that mirror those crafted on a traditional canvas. The matter I've chosen to write about is integration of digital art as it evolves. There are several questions when it comes to this subject. With the arrival of digital art, is there still room for traditional art in industries like concept art? How exactly has digital art itself evolved, and have there been any breakthroughs recently? Okay, cool. So that's where we're going. My experience with professional art is quite limited. I have commissioned a few pieces from amateur artists for character ideas I have, and I practice drawing daily. That's good. I mean, it's so important to practice the things that are really important to you every day. Part of learning to draw involves watching industry professionals. See here, I'm expecting you to talk about the industry professionals that you have watched and learned from. I think this would be a great place to put that in. Professionals generally get to enter the large industry that is concept art. One has to learn to be proficient with digital art. And that's from that source. Okay, the process of creating digital art is relatively light. The process is light in cost compared to traditional. I don't think we would generally say light in cost. Again, I'm talking about art, right? Like when you're writing your novel or anything that's not for school, potentially, you can be more creative with your speech. Okay, but that said, the process of creating digital art is relatively small, I think. I mean, light, I don't think that's the word you mean, in cost compared to traditional. The program that I use is called Autodesk Sketchbook. Sketchbook is a completely free program and comes with a large amount of brushes and tools. With traditional art, more supplies have to be purchased and paints replaced have to be replaced paints replaced have to be replaced regularly. Well, depending on how much you use. Sure. Digital art is also generally faster. Traditional art is not mistake friendly and requires larger time investment. With digital art, undoing mistakes is fast and encouraged. Despite the ease of use and preference of the field of concept art, the ease of use of concept art? I think you mean the ease of like creation, because using it is maybe still, you haven't talked about using it, I don't think. You just talked about creating it. And preference in the field of concept art. Digital art still has a hard time finding its place in art galleries. Marie Chattel, oh, so this really seems like a new paragraph. Because this paragraph began with professionals generally agree that you have to learn digital art. And now you're moving on to a totally different subject, which is art in art galleries, digital art in art galleries. So you definitely need a new paragraph. Marie Chattel discusses digital art installations in modern art museums. In 18 museums, boosting the scene of digital art. Oh, dude, I want to read that right away when I'm done with this. Digital art is complex. Okay, wait. Marie Chattel discusses this blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we need some kind of way to ease us into that because she discusses the art installation in modern art museums in this particular book, and then she just starts talking, or used to start quoting her. So we need some way to ease into that. Like, Marie Chattel discusses digital art installations in modern art museums in this, saying, or something like that. Digital art is complex to grasp, and museums are still hesitant about its conservation and preservation. Modern art museums that feature digital art even heavily tend to focus on installations rather than individual painted or drawn pieces. Okay, so we need to ease into that quote a little bit, and then we also need to comment on your quote. After you're done quoting her saying digital art's complex to grasp, museums are hesitant about it, you need to reaffirm and say, here's, yes, it's true that it can be complex to grasp, and yes, it's weird to think about its conservation and preservation or something like that. Always for your quotes, you have to lead us up to them, which you've done well at the beginning. You just need maybe one little more word in leading into this. But then at the end, you also always have to kind of affirm what the person said, so that we're clear how it fits into the larger picture of your writing. Okay, modern art museums that feature digital art even heavily tend to focus on installations rather than individual painted or drawn pieces. Yes, that makes sense. In terms of potential progress, digital art, So this seems like a different paragraph. In terms of potential progress, digital art has room to grow when it comes to being featured as paintings or drawings. A potential reason that digital art is not often featured in modern art museums may be the aspect of computerized assistance. Some viewers may see the medium as cheating. True. Okay, so let me back up here. You talked about how it has a hard time finding a place in art galleries, and then you said this thing about they focus on installation rather than individual painted or drawn pieces. I'd love to see a quote explaining more about that. I mean, in my experience, that's true. That generally speaking, when there's some kind of digital something in a museum, it's it's some kind of installation. You're watching this video, the loops, or something like that, as opposed to individual, as you said, painted or drawn pieces. Sorry, there's a train. Okay, so you talked about that. Sorry, back up. So hard time finding a place in art galleries. Art galleries focus on installations. Digital art has room to grow. So yeah, you jumped to talking about potential progress, which is totally different than what you were talking about before. You were talking about, so we need a new paragraph there to split that up. And then finally, this feels like a whole separate paragraph too. A reason that it's not featured in art museums may be the aspect of computerized assistance and the idea of cheating. Oh, I want to talk about that for a long time, but I'm not gonna. Keep going. Okay, the next area to explore is the progression of the medium itself. Digital art being the medium that it is, computerized assistance goes hand in hand. What? Digital art being the medium that it is. But like, I feel like you're saying digital art is digital art there. Like, digital art requires a computer, which is what digital art is, right? So I don't get that one. Let's see. Digital assistants can range from tools like line smoothing and shape prediction to totally automated creation. Yeah, that's wild and exciting. Recently, digital art had a breakthrough when it came to computer-assisted shading. An algorithm can now analyze the brushstrokes of a piece, refer to learned rules of how light typically interacts with that artistic style, and then apply those rules to pieces similar to how an artist familiar to those same rules shades that piece. Oh, that's crazy. These breakthroughs pose another interesting question. Once still debated today, can digital art be considered authentic art? Another place, you need a new paragraph. This is the main thing that I like bug people about, generally speaking, in 102, because I feel like this is just kind of the moment in your writing when it's like time to do this, is really pay attention to when you change paragraphs, because especially when you're doing writing in the workplace, but other places too, for artistic purposes as well, having your work in shorter paragraphs and helping your reader through your ideas by having the last sentence in your paragraph really bang and the first sentence of your paragraph really bang. What was I saying? Is extremely effective. There it is. So this is a new paragraph. These breakthroughs pose another interesting question when still debated today. Can digital art be considered authentic art? If a computer can create complex shading for your piece almost instantly, does that piece deserve just as much respect as a traditional artist spent hours on one gradient? The automated shading example is a tad extreme. It is not yet used in professional art, but yet does line smoothing make a piece less valid? Monica somebody of the website something responds to the question regarding a digital art's authenticity in the article as digital art, real art, facts, and myths about digital creating. Okay, and then here's another place. You've led us up to it, but you need like one more word, something like Monica of the blah blah responds to blah blah by explaining or by saying or something like that. A computer isn't an art tool. It's not a substitute for a brush or a canvas. It's a set of tools that lets you create an image of reality in the same format as photos. That's all. Ooh, harsh. Does that make the creation process more convenient? Yes. Does it make it easy? No. Digital art is just another medium of art, and the tools that correct brush strokes aren't some instant art creating program. If anything, they make the art more accessible for those who may have issues steadying their brush. You've opened such a fascinating can of worms here that I can't go on and on about because we're looking at your paper. Okay, from my research, I've learned digital art as a medium has both taken over some industries and lacked substantial growth in others. You did? Did you talk about that? I don't feel like you talked about that. The medium of digital art itself has had recent breakthroughs that can make the medium itself more automatic. You did talk about that. The automatic nature could even mean that it can be even more complex than traditional art. The the automatic nature could even mean that it can be even more, yeah, and then you can see there needs, you gotta tinker with that a little bit. And also, I don't feel like you said that. You didn't say that it could be more complex. The variations of the medium will certainly lead to a lot of new ideas being fleshed out, and I'm curious how far artists can go with the medium. Okay, cool. Let's look at your works cited. Just quickly as I go through this looks like things are in the right place. Okay, but a few more little nitpicky things. This, I'm not sure if you were trying to use MLA or APA as I look at your in-text citations, that is places where you're showing what you quoted within your paper. But you definitely need some kind of headers and page numbers. You need those for pretty much every citation style, I believe. That's important. I think that might be it. Okay. How long is this video I'm making? It's only 11 minutes. I could go on for a long time about what makes art, right? Which I'm gonna because I have a little time. So this whole idea of, is it authentic art? Like photography, I don't know why I'm wasting your time with this, but I just want to talk about it so you can stop it and not listen. So photography had the same issue, right? Of like, it doesn't take any skill. And then as time went on, people were like, oh, actually it does take a lot of skill. Like certain things are automated or can be automated about it. But there is a lot of skill involved with it. And I also think with digital photography, the same thing happened. People were like, which I guess is what you're talking about, right? Digital art. But this whole, like there's a whole part of art where people are like, oh, your skill is amazing, your skill is amazing, your skill is amazing. But on the other hand, there's punk rock types of art, basically. I just call that punk rock, which is like where your lack of expertise and your like focus on your passion of the thing is the most important thing to you. And I feel like what you're saying sort of hints maybe a tiny bit when you talk about it being too easy. It hints at this gap we often have between people who are just like, you know, casual. Like I just look at art every once in a while, and they say the cool thing about art is that people have these incredible skills, which could also be used in crafts, just making something really, really beautiful to use. And on the other hand, we have people who would say like, I'm much more about conceptual art. I'm much more about what something means, how it makes me feel, what it does to me, the idea, you know, as opposed to seeing any particular display of skill. And now I'm really going to end your video because I get excited about art, but I'm going to stop now. I've given you suggestions about things you can revise.